Okay, boys and girls, we're going to read the story of Pumpkin Jack. Does anybody know what this part of the book is called? Raise your hand if you know. What part is that, Miss Brenda?
It's the title.
The title. And what is the title made of, guys? Does anybody know? What are these things here?
Letters.
Letters.
Well, they are letters, but
Words.
words. And then the words are made of
Letters.
letters. Yes. And in between each word we have a space. Okay? And this is called Pumpkin Jack, and it was written and illustrated by Hubbell. Okay, boys and girls, does anybody know what page this is? Miss Mary.
Title page.
It is the title page, you are correct. When Tim carved his first pumpkin, it was fierce and funny and just perfect. A jack-o'-lantern is good. This good deserves a name, so Tim gave it one, Jack. See Tim? He's doing his pumpkin. How many of you have done pumpkins at your houses? You have. Did you do a scary face or a happy face?
Scary face.
A scary face. How about you?
Scary face.
Oh,
I did a happy face.
you did a happy face. Oh, I like happy faces.
Happy
too.
face.
Oh, yes, so we have some happy and some scary. Long after the best trick-or-treat candy was eaten, Tim still kept Jack. At night, when the candle made Jack's face dance on the walls and filled the dark with warm pumpkin smells, Tim felt Jack was almost magic. Yes, yet too soon the spell was broken. Do you see how he danced on the walls? This pumpkin is beginning to rot, announced Mom. It's time to throw it out. Tim knew it was useless to argue. He carried Jack to the garden, which was filled with brown ghosts of last summer's plants. A dead garden is better than the trash can, thought Tim. Still, it made him sad to just leave Jack outside all alone. See how he left Jack in the garden? What do you think's going to happen to Jack out there?
He's gonna get rained on.
He's going to get rained on, yes. What else do you think might happen to Jack?
Something gonna eat him.
Maybe there's animals that will eat him. Whenever chores or play brought Tim to the garden, he looked at Jack. Every time Jack was different. He became wrinkled and his fierce smile began to look silly. See what's happening?
He's rotten.
He's rotten, you're right, Miss Mindy.
Ew.
Mold spread all over Jack's bright orange skin. As the days turned colder, Jack grew fatter. Did your pumpkin grow mold whenever you did your pumpkin?
I don't know. We threw ours away.
You threw yours away already? Oh, let's see what happens now. Winter began. Soon Jack was hidden beneath the snow, and Tim forgot about him. The cold, heavy jacket days came. Snowman and sliding days, indoor days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Valentine's. When all these days had passed and the March winds melted the snow, Tim found Jack. Do you think Jack looked the same?
No, he looks smushed.
He does look smushed. You're right, Miss Shannon. There wasn't much left, just faded and crumpled pumpkin skin, a stem, and a few seeds. Jack's Halloween magic was a distant memory now. Tim scraped him a thin blanket of earth over the last bit of his pumpkin. Goodbye, Jack, he whispered. What do you think's going to happen now? Do you have any idea?
They're seeds.
They're seeds. What happens to seeds?
They grow.
Gonna sprout.
That's exactly what happens. When the spring turned barefoot warm, a tiny sprout appeared where Jack had been. Tim found it and guessed what it was. See his sprout coming up? In the days that followed, Tim weeded and watered and watched the sprout. Slowly and steadily, the plant changed and grew. It branched and spread a web of vines over the ground, but no pumpkins appeared. Does anybody know what has to happen before a pumpkin will appear? What, Miss Mary?
It's gotta have a flower.
You're correct. The days turned hot. Flowers opened on the plant each morning, yellow stars that twisted shut forever in the afternoon. Still, there was no pumpkins. So what's going to happen after the flower's gone?
The bees are gonna come.
The bees are,
The
oh
bees are-
yes, yes. And what do the bees do? Does anybody know? They
Pol-
carry,
Pollinated.
they carry pollen, you're right. Finally, Tim found a little green ball growing behind a crumpled blossom. A pumpkin! Tim let out a whoop and ran to show his mom. By August, the plant had spilled into the lawn. Tim's favorite game became pumpkin hunting. He carefully waded among the leaves, searching for the green pumpkins hidden like treasures. Have you ever been in a pumpkin patch and looked for pumpkins? Yeah, when they're green, you can't see them very good, can you? School began and the days cooled. Tim had less time to visit the garden. When he did, the pumpkin plants seemed tired. There were few new leaves, and the old ones tattered and no longer hid the fat green pumpkins. Then one October morning, Tim woke to see frost coating the garden. The frozen plants seemed to change to pale blue glass. Do you see how that happens? What would the frost do to the plant? Does anybody know? Does it make it real cold? And then what happens to the plant when it gets real cold?
Dies.
It dies, you're right. After school, Tim discovered what the frost had done. The pumpkin plant's leaves were limp and wet as paper. It was dying. Tim searched among the withered leaves for pumpkins. He picked them up and just put them on the front porch, hoping for more change. So he got the green pumpkins and the orange pumpkins, and he brought them to his porch. By Halloween, the pumpkins had ripened to a bright orange. There were many, for the plants had been generous. Tim was generous too. He gave away all but one pumpkin.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, that was very nice. It's nice to share.
A good friend.
A good friend, that's right. From jack-o'-lantern to seed to pumpkin again, the circle was almost complete. Now it was time for Tim to do his part. He gave his pumpkin a face. It smiled at him in a fierce, funny way. Tim smiled too and said, "Welcome back, Jack." So he made Jack number 2, didn't he? Oh my goodness, what's happening outside? You hear that?
Raining.
It's
It's raining. Pumpkins like rain too. So what's the first thing that we get whenever we have a pumpkin? What do we have to plant?
Seed.
A seed, right. And then what happens to that seed?
Grows a sprout.
It grows a sprout, you're right. And then what happens to the sprout?
Becomes a vine.
Becomes a vine. And then what do we get?
Then we get a flower.
We get a flower. And what happens to that flower?
Turns into a pumpkin.
It turns into a pumpkin. Is it a big pumpkin right away?
No, it's a little one.
A little one. And the rain and the sun help it to grow into a big pumpkin. Thank you for listening, guys.